All right, we'll give people a couple minutes to come back real quick. I'm going to throw these links back out. I think we're live. I have no idea what happened there, but it's all good. It's fine. So just give everybody a second to come back. All right, we're giving everybody just a couple seconds to come back. I don't know what happened. I mean, I literally have no idea. We were just changing camera feeds and it shut off. So Neal will be back in just a second and we'll get back started. Okay, we're good. We good? Is it recording? Yeah. It's not moving. Is it? Okay. All right. Anyway, all right. Yeah, it's funny. I hate we lost everybody right there for a second because some funny stuff in the chat. Leif said that having 8 ounces of marijuana would be similar to going to Chick-fil-A because you're hungry and ordering catering instead of an individual combo. Yeah, that's basically what this is here. Grind made it understandable with four footballs. That's a lot of marijuana. But anyway.
Austin, thank you for the super chat. Does Trump get arrested? I don't know. I watched some of that last night. I don't know who I believe. We'll see. I'm of the very strong opinion that I'm hoping the next election results in someone other than Donald Trump or Joe Biden. Kind of feels like it's time for a reset.
A little bit of a cleanse.
This feels politically motivated from what I've read. So that's disturbing. At some point we're impacting the fabric of our nation.
It sort of dovetails on what we're talking about from the standpoint of you've got all this going on with basketball right now. You got Brandon Miller. You got all, it's just like you don't feel like there's any accountability anywhere, frankly. Politics, sports, life. Like, I don't know. It feels like we're kind of running off the rails a little more than maybe we even have been.
As a society?
Yeah, just in general.
I think so.
Everything's a competition instead of any kind of cooperation on a national level. Yeah, I get that not locally everywhere and things like that, but just in general.
I mean, you've got a district attorney, not a district attorney. Well, I guess he kind of is.
Yeah.
In New York, where crime's running wild, where he's being documented as downgrading felonies to misdemeanors. And you're going after a case that is, 8, 9 years old? That has been passed over by feds many times. I mean, because it was a campaign promise that, hey, you were going to be the one that indicts Trump. Kind of feels empty. And I'm not a Trump guy. I mean, I wrote about this in 10 Thoughts. I had an absolute flashback. It hit me like out of the blue Friday. I was standing outside. Caroline was home. Carson was home. And it was a pretty Friday. It was a little cool, but it was very pretty outside. And I had lit the Blackstone. And there was something about the way the sun looked and just stuff. And I had an absolute flashback to lockdowns. Like I had almost like a nervous thing hit me. And I caught myself and I was like, whoa, hold up. You're good. But I thought back to that. And I'm one of the few people that I've heard publicly say, I hold Trump responsible for that too. I mean, he was the president. He signed off on it. They did the 15 days to slow the spread and stuff. And what he knew and what he should have known is probably another debate. But I'm not the guy that worships at the feet of Donald Trump. I just think this feels. I don't know that. Hey, the way to impact presidential elections is by using the criminal justice system as a eliminator is a great start.
Yeah, tool in any way.
Feels like we're getting off into a place where you start losing the fundamental democracy that we've had. But
yeah,
maybe it's too late. Maybe it's done. I've talked to people who are really smart, a lot smarter than me, a lot smarter, who think we're finished.
Connecting those, you think Alabama wins the title? Does this thing look weird as it gets closer and closer and closer?
They're certainly one of the handful of teams that could win a title. I mean, there's 16 teams left, and they're one of the better. They have
the broadcast have completely kind of ignored everything going on.
Well, you knew they would.
Yeah, but they have. I haven't listened to an Alabama game with volume.
They've pretty much avoided it.
Okay.
It's kind of like when you cover the Masters, everything is positive.
Yeah.
They're
piping the birds in a little bit with the tournament.
A little bit. But now, look, you do wonder if they win 2 this weekend, does it change? How much of a storyline does this become when you're down to 4 teams?
Does it change depending on who's in it with them?
Sure.
Where's the other storylines and who are we kind of getting behind and all that kind of stuff?
We're down to 2 1 seeds.
St. Louis and Houston.
I mean, Kansas is gone. Who else is gone? Who's the other one that got beat? Whatever.
The team that lost to Farley Dickinson, Purdue.
Oh, Purdue's gone. Yeah. So you're down to, just Houston and Alabama as 1 seeds. And there's, you look at potential storylines in the Final Four, that becomes one of them. Sure. I mean, but I read that story in Patch, and so you kind of wondered. I mean, I don't think they have. I don't know that. In fairness to the Tuscaloosa police, I don't know that they're covering up for Brandon Miller. I don't think they can prove that Brandon Miller knew that he was bringing a gun to a conflict.
Right.
I don't think they can prove somehow, some way that Brandon Miller had read that text. They can prove that the text got sent.
Sure. They
can't prove that he read the text. Or that if he read the text that he knew, I'm bringing this gun to Darius Miles, who's going to hand it to his friend, who's going to shoot up a car. And then there's some blame in the other car. They could have left on numerous occasions. They kept circling the area with their lights turned off. And they were seen doing that, so that created some angst. And there was stuff passing from the car that they said, hey, it could have been food, but turns out it wasn't food. It was a gun. And who knows, right? I mean, again, it's to Saban's point. One thing your parents told you when you were a kid, probably your mom, your dad, whoever, nothing good happens after midnight.
Yeah.
Well, nothing really good's happening at 1:30 in the morning out on the strip, probably. Like if you're still hanging out on the square at 1:45 in the morning, things probably didn't exactly go as planned for you that night.
Yeah, the odds of that going, let me tell you what happened at 1:30 that changed my life for the positive. I mean, I met the love of my life. I found a lottery ticket. Probably not the thing that's going to pop there.
In all likelihood, you had too much. Yeah. You overconsumed and
at that point, it's, hey, you just need to get home.
Yeah, someone needs
Let's
to
figure that out.
Right, but the odds of, hey, I'm still out here at 1:45 and everything's great. No, probably not. I mean, it's possible, but it's unlikely.
Yeah. The best case is it's a net neutral and everything's just same as was.
Stuff happened that night. But yeah, it's a topic. Look, I don't. They have fumbled the messaging so badly. Back to the Saban part, that's probably what he's most angry about, is that he's having to answer this.
Well, because he's impacted by Alabama's PR around crime and handling of players and students and the whole deal.
Yeah, I mean, if I'm Texas A&M and I'm recruiting against Alabama, one of the things I'm saying to Mom when I talk to her is, hey, it's a scary place over there. I mean, because everybody's getting paid. So you're trying to find an advantage. And so it's, hey, that's a scary place over there. You don't want little Johnny at Alabama because after the practices and after the games, he's going to be on that strip, and that strip is a bad place.
And what frustrates me, and this is a longer conversation, so I'm going to make a point and then probably not explain it very well because I'm going to talk spring football in a second. But I don't know where I stand on this all the way. But there's something about it that bothers me because you watch it, and what happened with Alabama was some PR people gave Oates really bad quotes, gave him really bad advice, or he either neglected to take good advice, one or the other. I don't know. And everything is so firm on taking culpability from students, from athletes, to covering up, to schools in general spinning such a positive utopia of everything right now that, frankly, it's getting on my nerves. We're getting away from, hey, it's not like the PR department at the university where of school X should just be like, oh, let me go pry into all the dark layers of the school. But at the same time, we're doing a lot of peeing down legs and telling people it's raining. I mean, there's a lot of just so far PR through different things. I mean, look, it's a situation on campus here that still is not fully played out. Or I don't know what happened involving a basketball player.
Yeah.
I don't know exactly what happened. Frankly, the statement the university put out, it's hard to believe that the reason why more information was not put out is exactly by that reason. I mean, I think they claim FERPA or something, which doesn't really fit. So, I mean, that's what I'm saying. Like, everywhere you've got this situation to where it's like,
no, you're right.
Just tell me what happened.
Yeah, the deal here is always,
these are public institutions. They're taxpayer driven.
Yeah, the deal.
What happened?
The deal here is always, hey, let's not let anyone think that anything bad happens here. This is Camelot. No, stuff happens.
That doesn't make the place bad.
No, it doesn't.
Something just happened.
It just stuff happens everywhere. What happened? And frankly, when you paint more,
and it's gotten worse as it's more competition and more money. I mean, I understand all the reasons why it happened. I'm not oblivious. I'm not putting my head in the sand. But it's just weird.
Sure.
And it's bothering me more and more and more. And this is what happens at Alabama is they go, no. Brandon Miller did nothing. Please, God. Let's act like wrong place, wrong time. Whoops.
Well, and
hey, he made a really dumb decision that does not make him criminally negligent, probably. Okay, cool.
Fair enough.
Then we go from there.
You can't prove that he knew he was bringing a gun to a gunfight. I'd like to think that if I got a text, and again, maybe he didn't see the text, but I'd like to think that if I got a text from a friend saying, hey, I need my weapon.
Yeah, sure.
And it's 12:30 at night where I'd like to think that I'd say, no, you don't. Go home. Go home. That's the part about this. When you read the Tuscaloosa patch thing, for both parties, there were multiple opportunities to get the hell out of there. And then nobody gets harmed. And look, Miles and his friend who are both sitting in jail right now, they lied to police the first time they were talked to.
Yeah. And let me clarify, that was not me saying that I know anything as far as Malik Ewan is in any sort of trouble or did anything even wrong. It's that I simply don't believe the reasoning that they gave for not supplying information. That is two different things.
Well, and there are a lot of rumors that are out there that when there's a lack of information, we've talked about this before, where there's a lack of information, rumors fill the void.
Yeah, sure.
There's a lot of rumors.
Yeah.
I don't know what's true.
No, I don't know.
I know that he didn't play another dribble the rest of the season.
And was that simply mental because his friend died? I don't know. Possibly. I mean, that had to be a very devastating thing when you're at an incident where somebody very close to you passes away.
Sure.
Yeah. I mean, all right, spring football. Practices again Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday. The Saturday practices, at least two of them are open to the public. So we'll make sure you guys have all that information as you have it.
Next Saturday and the
next
one
Saturday.
after that. Then the one after that is the game, and then they have 3 practices after the game.
Yeah.
Which is
I kind of like it, actually.
In case you need further proof that the Grove Bowl is just entertainment, there you go.
They're not done yet.
It's just going to be a scrimmage like the other scrimmages.
Except even less.
Yes.
Because it's on TV.
Yeah.
So we're not even going to run right, run left, throw a pass. Cool. Sweet. All right. I mean, we can get into personnel a little bit, but that's frankly hard to do. Just in general, what is your thought on access on how you plan to cover it? What's sort of a general sense here of what's going on?
Well, they put out the release yesterday to us. We have no practice viewing on Tuesday, no practice viewing on Thursday.
It's Kiffin on Tuesdays, players on Thursdays.
Is that right?
I'll check and make sure, but
Okay.
I'm pretty sure.
Whatever. I read into it a lot of things. One, it shows you that the media and look, a lot of you guys like this. I get it. I used to wonder why and how, but you do. A lot of media that go out to practice, when practices are allowed, they do the 2 or 3 things that the coaches, it's a headache for coaches. And the first, at the risk of starting the jokes, is everybody runs out there and the first thing they do is depth chart. Well, the coaches don't want a damn depth chart in the spring. Why? The transfer portal. All of these kids have people around them who are reading everything they can read. And if the kid who was supposed to be a backup is a third teamer, well, now they're asking questions. Why are you running third team? It was reported that you were running third team. And so that's creating all these issues. And when in reality, in spring, coaches like to use the spring as a time to develop and as a time to experiment, especially as it pertains to the portal. Hey, let's try some different people at some different spots to see if maybe we have a fit there where maybe it changes what our needs are or aren't in the portal. But your needs change if you end up losing 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 guys after spring practice that you did not intend to lose or plan on losing. And now you're having to change how you did the tampering portal aspect of it, which is what's going on right now. So I read into that. And then the other thing that happens, and I think one of the reasons that practices have been closed down for media, is you have media that go out to practice, Chase, and they write, everybody's bigger, everybody's stronger, everybody's faster. My God, they're awesome. This team is going to win 10, 11 games. And that, because it can't be proven wrong for the better part of 6 months, becomes established truth. Expectations are created that are unrealistic, and then when the season rolls around and a team sort of reaches what its realistic potential should have been, it comes across as they failed. And the media in that situation are not held accountable. I watched it last year. I watched the people that we compete against predicted 10-win seasons. They did. Publicly predicted 10-win seasons. You and I did not. I've yet to see those people held accountable for it. And I've yet to get anybody go, hey, you know what, Neal, you said they'd go 8-4, and they did. I hadn't gotten that one email. And I get a lot of crap email, but I've got no email from anybody that goes, hey, you said they'd go 8-4. You missed on a couple of the specific games, but you got it. I had them losing to Kentucky and beating Arkansas.
Yeah.
They beat Kentucky and they lost to Arkansas, so I flipped it. But I had them going 8-4. I didn't think they were a 10-win team. I thought there were too many flaws to go 10 wins. The people that we competed against, who spent the entire preseason going, they're awesome, predicted 10 wins. And so those expectations get created, and that starts in the spring because you can't be proven. Look, I don't know.
Yeah, there is something to carrying this good feeling through the summer, minimum.
Yes. It's part of the business plan. I used to wonder, how does some of those people stay in business? Because they get a lot of shit wrong. And that's how. They create goodwill, happy feelings. Oh, we're going to be great. And so that when you're sitting at the beach in July, you're like, boy, the Rebels are going to win 10 games, win 11 games. Everybody's stronger. Yeah, they're lifted in South Carolina too. You better be getting bigger, faster, and stronger because Auburn's getting bigger, faster, stronger. LSU's getting bigger, faster, stronger. Those programs are trying to win too. They're paying their coaches an exorbitant amount of money to win games. Kentucky's having an off-season program. So, yeah, you have an off-season program.
Kiffin players Tuesday, players Thursday, viewing no interviews Saturday. General rule.
Right.
Something can get altered, but that is. So Kiffin and people will talk today.
Yes. Then we'll talk to players on Thursday, and then we'll talk to Kiffin and players again next Tuesday.
Yes. Watch, but nothing else on Saturday.
Right.
10:45 is the time on Saturday.
Okay.
But again, that's not you guys. That's us.
Yeah.
You'll get the next one.
Yeah.
We will too, unfortunately. I'm kidding, sort of. Pro Day, March 29th.
Which is a week from tomorrow. Which is more of an NFL day than it is an our day.
It is.
I don't really know what I'm.
Even last year, I felt bad for the media members, frankly, because that was when Corral didn't talk after they waited like 3 hours on him.
Yeah.
And then he balked. It's a weird deal.
That was one of my better calls. I had to go. I'm like, I can't wait another 2 hours here. And I had a feeling when Matt didn't come with the time that Matt was scheduled to come, I said,
Matt's not coming.
Matt's not coming. And I left. And 3 hours later, I was like, that was a good call.
I don't get him not talking there. You're a pro now. Do the thing you're supposed to do. That was a sign to me. I'm not bashing him, but like that.
Of course.
That.
Of course.
Come on.
Of course.
You're getting paid now. All jokes aside.
You're being a pro. You're a pro. Act like one.
Yeah. There's a certain hold on.
Well, a year later, they're trying to move him. That was revelatory of a lack of maturity.
Yeah, Matt struggled in interviews. I've heard that multiple times, that he had a very hard time with talking
to media.
No, scouts, teams, executives. He looked really good on the field, but he struggled with a lot of the interview personal stuff throughout the thing. A couple teams that I know people-ish there had said that there was some struggles in those areas.
Well, I mean, look at Carolina not taking him. There was a chance he wasn't going third round.
Yeah.
There were a couple of teams that I knew of that I remember talking about this with you that day. I thought, oh, God, we're about to be having to answer a lot of questions because there was some talk.
The schools, for the most part, get to let anybody they want come to their pro days. So that's why some of these former players are getting back in front of scouts, trying to get back in. Cam Newton at Auburn, DJ Fluker doing pro day.
Really?
Yeah. They're some guys trying to get back. So it's a chance to show out in front of teams.
Okay.
Yeah. Ole Miss over the years has had guys who have been done 3 or 4 years, but they were like, whatever, come back. And Nick Brazel came to like 7 pro days, I feel like, there for a while.
Oh, he did come back to a couple. Yeah.
Yeah. He was always back around a little bit. So anyway.
I do a horrific job of covering pro day because I still, after all of these years, I don't know exactly what it is that I'm covering. Like, I don't, you know what I mean?
Yeah. No. Yeah,
I don't really know what it is that I'm covering.
Yeah.
Other than, I think sometimes you can, maybe I did a decent part of this last year, kind of watching the pro people. Like, who are they watching? Who are they talking to? Not that you're going to, last year there was so much attention on Corral that I was really watching who was watching Corral.
Yes.
Like, who was really locked in on
Matt
Corral.
Rule.
Yeah. The one thing you knew from last year's pro day was that the Cowboys really, really, really liked Sam Williams. They were laser focused on Sam Williams and not even really trying to hide it.
Yeah.
But for the most part, I don't know. Like, what exactly is it that I'm watching to see who runs a 40? I don't, I never really know how exactly to cover that.
So we'll get a few storylines in a second for spring football. We'll go through those. But first, let me tell you about Johnsonville Creamery, johnsonvillecreamery.com. Charcuterie boards, small batch artisanal cheeses they make in-house every single day right there on site. Catering, grazing tables, workshops. They got one in Clarksdale tonight. Maybe you're in the Delta. You're taking part into that. It's an awesome experience for anyone who wants to catch the next one if you're not headed to the Travelers Hotel tonight. 662-419-9201. You can go to their Instagram page. It's Johnsonville Creamery. Tons of photos, videos of their different offerings, different products, including the Great House Mustard and more. And again, order right there online. johnsonvillecreamery.com/shop and take care of whatever you need from Johnsonville Creamery. Again, 662-419-9201.
Game Changer patches, the only 2-patch system available in the market to stop hangovers before they start. The warm-up patch used before or while you drink. The overtime patch used after you've been drinking to recover while you sleep. The all-natural ingredients will keep you in the game and ready for the next play. Go to GameChangerPatch.com. Promo code RebelGrove20 at checkout. Get 20% off your purchase. Brought to you by Automation and Control Systems, LLC. It's ACS. a complete electrical control system solution provider, a Rockwell Automation recognized system integrator. They can service and install Rockwell Automation, Allen Bradley, Siemens, ABB, Square D, and many other manufacturers. For more information or to get in touch with ACS, go to acsllcms.com or call 662-601-4381. Brought to you by Landman's Fine Jewelry in Oxford, North Lamar Boulevard specifically. They've been serving the Oxford area for 3/4 of a century. Engagement rings, wedding rings, fine jewelry, watches, pearls, fashion jewelry, whatever you're looking for, they've got it at Landman's. 662-234-2777. Also brought to you by Pinnacle. Get in touch with the people at Pinnacle, their 401k advisory services team. They'll give you a complimentary, no obligation benchmarking and analysis of your current 401k plan. It's mypinwealth.com, MYPINN wealth.com. If you are still working on your summer vacation plans, number one, I'm jealous of you. Number two, you ought to get in touch with my friend John Edwards, Regency Travel Incorporated in Memphis. Give John some parameters. Give him a budget. He's going to give you options. He's going to make a special trip, one that creates a lifetime of unique memories. 901-494-3387 or jedwards@regencytravel.net. Also brought to you by OPA if you're coming to town this weekend for the baseball series or just to hang out, whatever the case may be. Stop by Oxford's newest Greek restaurant on the square. Fabulous food, great craft libations as well at OPA. And then if you're on the square looking for a place to take a break during the baseball series or catch up on what's happening in the NCAA tournament or in other college baseball games, stop by Rafters on the square. Rafters music and food, a great place to grab a burger, a po' boy, an appetizer, just have a beer and relax a little bit before the college kids take it over that night. Rafters on the square in Oxford.
Podcast is brought to you by Prime Shrimp. That's primeshrimp.com. Premium shrimp peeled and deveined in the U.S. and combined with gourmet seasoning and sauces. It's vacuum sealed and frozen for sous vide style. Cook in the bag preparation. Get exceptional results at home in 10 minutes or less. No thaw steps, no mess, no fuss. Make shrimp pasta, add to rice, salad, or grains. Enjoy in shrimp tacos, a shrimp wrap, or just as a satisfying snack. Use code RG. 5 pouches or more, 25% off there with code RG with Prime Shrimp. Primeshrimp.com. Everything from their New Orleans style barbecue to the lemon cracked pepper to their full meals in a bag. Those are the French Quarter Alfredo, the garlic herb butter, and more. So primeshrimp.com/RG. So obviously people want to talk quarterbacks. Ole Miss 3 on the roster of significance. Jackson Dart, obviously returning starter. Walker Howard transfers in from LSU. And then Spencer Sanders transferring in from Oklahoma State for his final year of eligibility. I mean, Sanders is the one that I have the most interest in just from the standpoint of what's going on, because with Dart, you know that he is the returning starter. You know, he's facing more competition than he has in the past. Luke Altmaier now at Illinois, who I think he's projected to be the starter for the Illini in the fall. And then Walker Howard seems to be content on 2024 is when he really jumps into the competition, although he's going to be practicing obviously now. And Sanders has been hurt. He's had a shoulder issue since he left Oklahoma State. He's not really thrown much. They say he's going to throw this spring. You're going to finally kind of get a look at that for what that looks like. But an injured quarterback just learning the system going up against Jackson Dart, it comes back to all the questions we had at the very beginning, Neal. And I mean, it's more about on the field at this point versus why. But there's no way to keep 3 guys happy. You can keep 2 depending on who the 2 are. But I'm just a little confused kind of because of Sanders' health situation, what Ole Miss can realistically glean or get from that competition this spring.
It's really the one question I have is what is his health status? How much is he able to throw? How effectively is he able to throw? How do you judge this? Because I don't see how. And I'm probably going to be proven wrong. But I don't see how you keep Dart and Sanders on the roster in September and everyone's.
Oh, because Sanders has 1 year left. This is it.
Yeah, I don't know how you keep those people healthy. I mean, not healthy, happy.
The question is, did he have any other options? Which we still don't really have a good answer for.
The other question I have is, what was he promised?
Well, fair.
What was he told? Difficult for me to believe. It is. I can't prove this. Now, I've heard this from some people, but it's secondhand. But I have a hard time believing that they told Spencer Sanders, hey, look, we're bringing in Walker Howard. We've got Jackson Dart. There's a chance you're third team. it's hard for me to imagine that he heard that and said, "Yep, I'm going to do it. I'm going to bet on myself." I know, I shouldn't say no. I feel quite confident that I am aware of the sales pitch, the recruiting pitch to Walker Howard.
Yeah.
I can't say that I know it because I wasn't there. I wasn't in the room.
Yeah.
But I've talked to people who have talked to people who were in the room. And I've talked to enough of them who've said the same thing that I have to believe that there's at least a grain of truth to it. That Walker Howard was unhappy with his situation at LSU only because of playing time. He was concerned with Jaden Daniels and, is it Garrett Nussmeier? He was concerned with those two being there, that he would once again be the third-team quarterback. And at LSU, that would mean running a lot of scout team and not getting second-team reps. He was concerned that that would stunt his development as a quarterback. He was very happy with LSU. He did not have an issue with Brian Kelly, with the offensive staff. His girlfriend still goes to LSU. He was perfectly happy in Baton Rouge, had a lot of friends on the team, liked the school. He grew up an LSU fan, of course. His dad played there. His mother, who had passed away, went to school at LSU and loved it, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So his decision was a football decision based on pecking order. So I find it difficult to believe that had Ole Miss told Walker Howard, "Hey, look, man, there's a chance you're our scout team quarterback next year," that he would go, "Oh, you know what? I'm going to leave this place that I otherwise really like to go to a place that I don't know anything about. Might be better for me, might not be as good. I don't know. We'll see," to do the same role.
Sure.
That makes no sense.
It does not.
So something feels like it has to give.
And Sanders, I don't think there's a world where he's named the starting quarterback going into the fall. So, I mean, if you're Sanders, you're either just going, okay, we'll see what happens, and maybe I unseat Dart, maybe Dart gets hurt, maybe whatever happens down the road, or, hey, I gave it a shot, and now I'm going to transfer to Southeastern Louisiana. Because that's his only option.
Could be.
Is to go down a level in the fall.
To go down a level.
But then, did you really even give yourself an opportunity if you were kind of banged up and going through a spring and then left? You know what I mean? Like, it doesn't.
And then if you're Jackson Dart, you came in last year and you won the job. You did everything that they asked you to do. And again, if I'm Jackson Dart and they bring in Walker Howard, I get it. You got to have another quarterback. I mean, you know, I'm made of flesh and blood like anybody else. I could get hurt. Got to have another quarterback. But when you bring in Spencer Sanders, if I'm Jackson Dart, the message that gets sent to me is there's something about my game that you didn't like. There's something about my development that you weren't pleased with. There's something about my situation that is not stable. And at which point I have to ask myself, hey, look, before I spend a year as a backup in a situation that would be difficult, do I think about transferring someplace, spending a development year at a place where I am the future, as opposed to spending if you're Jackson Dart and you're not the starting quarterback this year, the odds of you ever being the starting quarterback again are remarkably slim.
And this is worth clarification. It's not that a program should not bring in as much talent as they can bring in. I get that, and that's what Lane keeps going back to.
Sure.
The question is, something had to happen in the recruitment for Spencer Sanders to believe he can be the starting quarterback. It's what does Sanders think versus, because the myopic person, not necessarily fan in general, who goes, no, he's confident he's going to compete. It's like, no, because you have to know there's an entry point. You're picking one final school. I mean, nobody's coming in on Andrew Luck going into his junior year and go, well, I'm just going to compete my ass off. I mean, okay, but good luck. You know what I mean? Like, it doesn't make sense. So what did Sanders think or know to come in to go, no, I have a chance to be the starting quarterback now against the guy that played pretty well last year. I like Jackson Dart. He played good football last year. He's good. Like, that's the thing. Unless Spencer Sanders goes, you know what? I'm kind of banged up. I don't know that I can really play at any level. I'm going to come in and I'm going to learn under Lane Kiffin, and I want to be a coach. And I just want to be on the roster. Okay, cool. But if that is not true,
and I've not heard that from one soul.
I'm throwing any hypothetical out there that would fit. Otherwise, why? What is it in the communication between all parties that everyone is missing? Because I am getting a little tired of, no, everybody just wants to come in and compete. It's like, nobody does that. That's not how this works.
Well, look, let's put it in our field.
Yeah.
Like back in the day.
Sure.
When another publication came to me and said, hey, we're interested in hiring you. All right, what's my role? Well, we'll figure that out when you get there. I'm not interested in that. You want me to move?
It might be the Braves. It might be Preps.
You want me to move to Kansas City? Okay, all right. Am I covering the Royals? Well, maybe. Chiefs? Maybe. Am I covering Big 12? Maybe. But now it's possible that you're covering Preps. Well, I'm out.
Yeah.
I'm not interested in that. That's a possibility? Well, it's going to be how good you are. Well, who's judging? What's the time frame? I mean, it is nonsensical for me, and I have a hard time with it. And I'm not saying it's not true, but I'm with you. It's difficult for me to believe that Spencer Sanders just said, you know what? I don't know what's going to happen. It's my last year of college football. I've been a starter at Oklahoma State for, 3.5 years?
It's the Big 12 Player of the Year.
I've quarterbacked in big bowl games. I've been the starting quarterback in multiple Bedlam games. But I'm cool with the possibility of just standing around in Oxford, Mississippi at a place I've never been and just kind of watching for a year, my last year of college eligibility. And when Ole Miss plays LSU, I'll just be the third-team guy.
I'm kind of banged up, but I still feel like I can unseat the starter. I mean,
kind of makes no sense to me. It just frankly makes no sense to me. And is it possible that was your only offer? I guess. But you're telling me at no point you could have picked up the phone and called Mike Gundy and said, hey, let's work this out. Because I think there was probably a point where he could have. It's difficult for me to put all these things together and make it make sense.
It just feels weird.
And it feels to me like this is a challenge at Jackson Dart that's direct. Get better or else. That's what it feels like. I don't know that. No one's told me that. They've done a remarkable. I'll give Lane Kiffin credit for this. Among a lot of things, he's done a very good job of locking down the leaks inside his program.
Yeah.
It's one of the reasons that so much media are so frustrated.
Yeah.
We're not. I mean, I kind of find it interesting. It makes it for a summer of intrigue, if nothing else. Because, again, if I'm with you, I don't think there's any chance that at the end of the 15th practice, someone says, so, Lane, what do you think about the quarterbacks? Where he goes, well, I'll tell you, here's what's going to the pecking order at this point is he is the starter, he is the backup, and he is the third teamer. There's in my mind, a 0% chance that happens. So someone has to make a decision at the end of this that, hey, I'm going to take a leap of faith.
And they have eyes. They know who's ahead.
Yeah.
Everybody
kind of knew last year that, yeah, Jackson struggled with some stuff in the spring, but he's probably the better quarterback. Yeah. And look, they benefited last year. He doesn't get enough credit for it. But Luke Altmaier was a good soldier.
He's a hell of a soldier.
He was very frustrated, and there were some times where I think he felt like he was not exactly treated fairly, but he never let that bleed into the building. He knew, hey, I probably need to just be the good soldier here. I'm going to have an opportunity. I still have my transfer. There's going to be opportunities for me, and he was right. He's going to be the starting quarterback at Illinois. Well, I don't know that that's the case with Jackson Dart, with Spencer Sanders.
Well, and look, Dart, it did this. We're aware enough. Jackson Dart is going to just compete his ass off. He's hanging around. He's a competitive son of a gun. Sure. It wasn't like, hey, I'm out now because you brought Spencer Sanders in. So if Lane was trying to motivate him, it worked.
It did. But if at the end of April, if Jackson Dart can't get a straight answer that, hey, I'm the guy, you're the guy, period, you've got to at least contemplate.
I know. It's what's fascinating. I'm
going to go for a waiver, and if I can't get the waiver, I need to be someplace where I'm the quarterback of the future. Because, look, he could transfer to, say, BYU, sit a year, and be the quarterback of the future. If he sits a year at Ole Miss, he's not the quarterback of the future, Chase.
Right. No, Walker Howard is.
Yeah, and then they're going to bring in another quarterback. And who knows? Now you don't – the message that would be sent. And look, I mean, this is the negative to the portal king thing. Well, how do I know you're not going to go in the portal again?
Yeah, sure. And there is, we'll run through some other storylines in a second in our last segment for the day. It's about Northeast Spark, NESPORC, service people across rural communities. 2 packages, the Ignite, the 100 Mbps, or the Blaze, the 1 gig that powers the Clarkport studio. Your hometown team bringing you world-class broadband. That's AnySpark.com, 662-238-3159. Phone service, parental controls, network security, and much more. So to get the best internet in Lafayette County, also parts of Union and Pontotoc counties, they did not previously have internet. That's 662-238-3159.
Podcast also brought to you by Whitney McNutt of Tommy Morgan Incorporated Realtors, serving you for all of your real estate needs in Oxford and Tupelo. She sells condos, land, commercial, and residential family homes. You can reach her at 662-567-2573 or 662-842-3844. Brought to you by Service Specialist Staffing and Recruiting Agency, connecting great job opportunities to candidates since 1967. If you're on the job hunt, they can help you. If your company is looking to hire quality, hard-to-find talent, they can help you as well. Keep in mind, payment of service is solely contingent on if you decide to hire a candidate that they send. You have nothing to lose. So give Will, Sydney, or Kelsey a call at 662-832-5138 or check out their new and improved website, servicespecialistltd.com. Don't just accept what you see, but imagine something new. Step forward, chase after a better version of yourself. Every day, Corinth Dental is helping people reinvent themselves one smile at a time. Dr. Bubba McQueen, Dr. Jenny Beth Hendrick are devoted to restoring and enhancing the natural beauty of your smile using conservative state-of-the-art procedures, including Invisalign. These clear aligners are the virtually invisible way to improve your smile. So call Corinth Dental today for a no-cost digital scan of your teeth. Let them show you the way to a straighter, healthier smile. 12 months, no interest, no down payment. Financing is available at corinthdental.com. And we're brought to you by our friends at Southern Traditions Farm. It's a 68-acre, 32-stall, upscale equestrian training and boarding facility in Canton, Mississippi, with 2 sand rings, a grass ring, miles of wooded trails. There's a lot offered at Southern Traditions. Horseback riding offerings. They can help you compete in nationally recognized competitions. It's also a great venue for parties, reunions, that type of thing. Get in touch with the people at Southern Traditions on Facebook or Instagram at Southern Traditions Farm.
Get your first look when you're out at the new coaches. Everyone's had a pretty good bit of turnover in the offseason from a coach standpoint. John Garrison, the new offensive line coach. Pete Golding, obviously running the defense, whatever he does from a base formation standpoint. It sounds like it's going to be some level of 4-2-5, 4-2, 4-3, multiple thing, 4-man front. We'll just call it that and let that be that. Kenoto Hudson, new cornerbacks coach. Wes Neighbors did hang around safeties for that. And then Jake Schoonover from Arkansas State special teams coordinator. Kevin Smith back as running backs coach. So those staff turnover spots for Ole Miss headed into the spring. It's just so hard. And I mean this, and it's not even necessarily complaining or anything. It's so hard to even really rate players versus players out there or anything else. It's just it's almost impossible. I mean, I can sit here and talk about, hey, you want to see if you're going to get more out of Ulysses Bentley or like some of those things, which are very much storylines for the season. It's just an impossible task to really give you a lot of information on that in the spring, barring they look healthy or things along those natures. We'll see who is non-contact. A lot of guys are out, frankly, from that standpoint. I mean, it's going to be a fairly skeleton crew, especially on the offensive side of the ball with some offseason injuries and things along that lines.
Which makes it even harder to evaluate quarterbacks.
Because they don't have the team out there.
I remember that last year there was a practice on a Saturday inside the Manning Center where both Dart and Altmaier, for lack of a better word, looked awful. And part of that was, well, the offensive line was makeshift. The receivers were hurt. The defense was kind of feeling itself, knew what was coming late in the spring. And it was, if someone just dropped you in and you had no context at all, you'd be like, man, this team, their defense is amazing and their offense is just anemic. That's what you would have thought. Well, it was a completely unfair way to judge. And I'm sure that the coaches viewed it that way as well, but not to belabor the point on the quarterbacks, but that's the other thing.
Whether it be surgery or just kind of banged up stuff. I mean, Jaden Williams, Pettis, and Jeremy James were all dealing with stuff and might not play.
Well, James won't play.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, so yeah. It's So that's 3 of your 5 offensive linemen that are not out there.
Right. And so you've brought in some newcomers at wide receiver, and
I do want to see what Chris Marshall looks like. I'm interested in that.
Yeah.
Caden Priest-Corn from Memphis.
But you got guys that are learning a system. Like Jackson Dart looked.
Because at left tackle, it's probably Cam East. If Williams is banged up,
I couldn't tell you.
I think it's Cam East.
Yeah. So who's the backup? So that's my thing. So you're getting into
because it's a third teamer playing as your starter. If again, I don't know exactly what Williams' deal is, but we'll tell you whether snaps continue to get better. That was a problem in the fall.
Yeah.
That is we can do that. That counts. It's like making 5-foot putts. I can tell you whether they're putting well or not. But no, dudes are all banged up. We're not going to discover whether Michael Trigg has found his game in the spring. Like, I don't know. He's going to be talented and he's going to make some mistakes. And he's going to catch some unbelievable passes.
Right.
That's what Michael Trigg's going to do.
But is he going to blow assignments and not know his assignment?
Which is what Lane got pissed off at him over and over and over again last year.
I don't know that you'll be able to completely tell those things in September viewing in Saturday viewing periods.
Yeah. Does Ole Miss finally get something out of Jalen Knox or Braylon Brown? I don't know. And you won't either in the spring.
Nope.
We'll see if they're really pissed off at people. That's what we'll see on Saturdays. They show their frustration when they're annoyed with people's. Yeah, hey, you're missing a sign. Get that. Go away. Lane does not. He's not a very good actor when it comes to not showing his disgust with what is going on in front of him.
Mental mistakes.
Can't stand it. And it's running back. Hadn't got everybody here yet. There's still another portal window. As soon as spring is open from May 1st to May 15th, there's another portal window. Guys in it or out.
Well, that will be the most interesting thing of the spring.
Because guys go, hey, that did not go like I thought it was going to go.
When it ends on April the 20, whatever that is, it'll be most interesting to see if some guys jump in that they didn't anticipate jumping in.
Because right now, when I say scholarship, came in on a scholarship. I don't know if anybody has gained one while they've been here. Hey, running back, it's Judkins and Bentley. That's it.
Oh, yeah, it's true.
Those are the only 2 scholarship running backs on the roster for spring.
And look, one of the storylines of the spring is that you have to do everything in your power to keep Quinshon Judkins as happy as possible. He still holds his transfer card. He could jump in the portal and shake everything up. He could. He's not committed to anything.
He could. We'll see what they do with Victor Kern from Washington. He's played a bunch of different positions. I'm assuming he's a guard. They'll figure that out. But he might have to play tackle some this spring because they just need a body over there.
Oh, they might. And also you experiment some. This is the time that you experiment with a guy. Hey, if I moved him to right tackle, for example, can he handle it? If I have this young, if I have a young guy, if I put him at center for a few snaps, could he handle it? What about guard? And that's where the coaches get frustrated with the depth chart thing, is because they're not focused on a depth chart yet.
There is so much portal activity, though. I do think the spring has become more important on just getting enough of a baseline of the system in the spring for guys. They're not going to have great retention. You're still going to have to go over it again at the early part of the fall. But the more you can sort of understand, the more they can do in the early part of the camp. I do think that has gained importance. But that's one of those things that happens in the film room and in whatever. And that's not something we necessarily are going to understand or see in real time. And probably might not even see in real time until the fall that you see what they did retain or didn't retain or what that looks like. But Lane talked about that there's 2 things. There's trying to meld your portal class with your roster from a culture standpoint, but also actually understanding the system and understanding this is how we do things here versus wherever you were, and you got to understand this immediately and what that looks like. And that's a coach's challenge. That's not something necessarily for practice, but I do think that's one of the more critical things that will look like. And then we'll be able to get an idea of kicking. Kicking was kind of weird. They get Costa back, I guess.
New holder.
Yeah. A new holder. Who's going to punt? They do have a punting situation. I think the kid that transferred in from A&M, that I'm forgetting his name right now, I think he's going to handle kickoffs and then at least have a chance to punt.
Oh, really?
I think so. Yeah. What's his name? Cade Davis? Is that him?
Sounds right.
Is that right? Or is that completely somebody else? Huh?
It sounds right, but I don't know.
That's not right. That was an Oklahoma State football player.
Oh.
Okay. Whatever. It doesn't matter.
Oh, it matters.
It will matter in actually just a second when our stream catches up to whatever it's going on.
Oh, someone's going to correct you. This is the time of the year that you realize that there are absolutely people out there who know the roster significantly better than you do.
Cade Davis. Sorry, not Cade. I get credit for that.
That's close enough. That's what I said. It sounded right.
It's the funny part of media is there'll be somebody out there that understands every number and everything. It's like, how do you not know that? It's like, I don't know, because I know 700 more things that might or might not matter, and I'll just figure that out later.
Well, look, there are people that will be in the stands on Saturday who know the roster better than the head coach.
Yeah. Oh, well, that's a good point.
Yes.
Hey, Houston. Hey, like I said, Ben had a great Benedetto. Completely forgot his last name. Couldn't remember it. Saved his life. Yeah, but Houston would have the thing where occasionally he'd start calling his own players by their numbers, kind of like the film for the opponents. And go, we had a big day from 37.
Yeah.
41 had a day.
I don't really feel bad about it because I don't need to know it until they play games. I don't have to have a mastery of the roster until the season rolls around. Until fall camp rolls around, you start getting an idea of who's actually positioning himself to play. I don't believe that many of those decisions are made in March and April.
No.
And I base that from talking to coaches.
Frankly, this isn't even as pivotal of a get your body ready time as the summer is.
Oh, absolutely.
When this is over until
no
the fall.
question. It's one of the things that you worry about as a coach is you're going to get some guys banged up, but you don't want to suffer injuries where guys are not available in June and July to get ready for what's coming in August and September.
I do think, as always, we know really good and really bad. Anybody can pick out, hey, Quinshon Judkins looks better than the dude who's in the end of the bench. Like, it's the middle we have a hard time with that anybody would have. I do think linebacker is one of those positions where you can see if somebody moves well enough in the SEC. I think we get red flags really quickly on some guys and go, oh, no, they're not moving. So I want to see Monty Montgomery from Louisville, and I want to see John Baptiste. I want to see what those guys look like on the field. Right. From a defensive standpoint, I do think linebacker is a spot where you can go, no, okay, that makes sense. I see that.
Yeah. Tony Tsoukalis is working on a story for Rivals about still outstanding transfer portal needs. And I was like, hey, give me a day because I want to hear Wayne Tuesday, and then I'll get back to you. But I think the outstanding transfer portal need remains pass rush edge guys.
Oh, okay.
Guys who can get to the quarterback off the edge or disrupt offenses off the edge. I don't know that there's a ton of that. There wasn't much of that last year, and that hurt them. And most of what they got last year is gone. So they've had to replace that. Like, does John Baptiste, is he an impactful edge guy? And if not, do you have to go into the portal and find that? I still think that's probably their most glaring need going into the – if it's something else, it's because, for example, it would be because wide receiver did not pan out the way that they thought it would. I'm sure they'd love to find another impactful wide receiver, but it feels like defensive end is still – an area of need. That's the other interesting thing to watch in the spring, I think, is with Pete Golding, new personnel. At the end of spring, does he look at it and go, okay, we've got to go get this position, and this position in the portal, or is it different than what he thought it would be today?
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
He might have an idea in his mind today that changes over the next 5 weeks.
And then because he can do a couple different things. I want to see John Saunders, the transfer from Miami, Ohio, on the defensive side of the ball.
Yeah.
Corner, maybe play some inside safety stuff a little bit, kind of see what they do with that. They've got a lot of those guys back, but they did lose a good bit of corner. They need him to play corner and play it well.
Yeah, they lost two guys that played a ton of corner.
The academic issues were galore for that kid from North Texas. It would just shock me if that ever becomes a thing, if I'm honest, but at least not right now. His name is is it Gaddy? Is slipping my mind.
Yeah.
So that's somebody asking the stream. That's sort of where that's at the moment. But I don't know. We'll see Lane Kiffin today here in a few hours. Again, we'll have coverage of that at rebelgrove.com. Have another press conference on Thursday, as we said, and then first practice availability on Saturday. We'll have observations from that as well. So good bit coming up this week. Again, Ole Miss baseball tonight, Arkansas Pine Bluff, 6:30 start for that. JT Quinn on the mound for the Rebels. He's throw strikes. I saw it this morning. 17 strikeouts to 13 walks so far on the season for the freshman, prior to the Florida Gators coming in town this weekend for 3, starting at least now on Friday, but the forecast is pretty rough for Friday and Friday night at the current moment. So more tomorrow, more football, more a little bit of everything as we count you down toward the end of the week and spring football beginning. So take